What's up, Liberty lovers? Today's show is sponsored by our friends at ammo.com. There's nothing more American than ordering a stockpile of ammunition and having delivered right to your doorstep. But you know what? It gets even better than that. Not only does ammo.com deliver sweet, beautiful packages of ammunition right to your door, they're also run by libertarians. In fact, you can read an awesome article on their site right now that I've linked to on the show notes page called Locked Up: How the Modern Prison Industrial Complex Puts So Many Americans in Jail. And you know what? It gets even better than that. When you buy at ammo.com, 1% of every single sale, that's gross sale, not net, goes to a libertarian cause of your choosing that you get to pick at checkout. And the best part, the kicker, through the link ammo.com/Lions of Liberty, you get $20 off your order of $200 or more. So support this show, help to spread the ideas of liberty, and buy some ammo to defend your personal liberty. Bam!
Welcome to Felony Friday, a presentation of the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here is your host, John Odermatt.
Felons, friends, and freedom lovers, welcome back to another edition of your favorite criminal justice show, Felony Friday. We're bringing it to you every single week, right here on the home of the original variety libertarian podcast, Lions of Liberty. That's right. There's a lot of pretenders out there, a lot of people who are trying to be like us, act like us, trying to get famous like us in the libertarian community. We're not famous. I'm just kidding. We're definitely not famous. But this show, Lions of Liberty, this podcast was the first variety libertarian podcast. A little piece of history for you on this fine Friday morning, if you're listening to this as it's released. But on the Lions of Liberty podcast, as you know, that this is a variety show. There's more than just Felony Friday. There's our Monday show hosted by Mark Clare, where Mark is interviewing leaders in the libertarian movement. There's our Wednesday show hosted by Brian McWilliams, where Brian is, Brian is doing some crazy stuff, and he's reviewing current day events. He's cursing a lot, and he's making you laugh. His show is called Electric Liberty Land, and I highly suggest you don't miss it because it's an awesome show. And every Friday, of course, Felony Friday, where a lot of the times I'll bring on someone who's been through the criminal justice system, and we'll talk through that experience, the obstacles they had to overcome, everything that they faced while they were in prison, once they got out of prison, everything they had to get through in order to find success after prison, or like today's episode, which is just a super, super fascinating episode. I'm really looking forward for you. I mean, you guys are going to love the content that we're digging into here, because on today's show, it's really the confluence of criminal justice reform, entrepreneurship, and technology. This is the libertarian dream. This is the private sector coming in to help to reform or make better a broken criminal justice system and provide avenues to make it easier. For example, we'll be talking about expunctions today, so easier to expunge your record. So definitely stick around. You're going to love my guest today. This guy, I'm telling you right now, he's going to be freaking famous. So keep his name in mind. While you're thinking of that, though, if this is your first time listening, that's okay. That's cool. But if you've listened a couple times and you haven't subscribed yet, go subscribe. What are you waiting for? Go to Apple Podcast or Stitcher or Overcast or Google or wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify. Subscribe. Have this show delivered right to your phone. Have all of our 3 shows per week delivered to your phone, and don't think about it. Just wake up on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, hit play, and get liberty directly into your eardrums. Today's episode, there's going to be some important links that I will be discussing with my guest. You can find those at lionsofliberty.com/FF166. I cannot believe this is the 166th episode of Felony Friday, guys. Where has the time gone? Well, I have no idea. It's been a crazy ride. Let's get rolling with today's show. My guest today on Felony Friday is Yousef Kassim. Yousef is the founder and CEO of Easy Expunctions. It is the only software-driven service company that specializes in automating the legal documents for personal reputation management. It's a really cool service. I'm excited to learn more about it. It was founded back in Austin, Texas in 2014. And this was shortly after Yousef filed a patent for this new method, this new technology, which automates this process. So we're going to learn all about that, learn all about Yousef's past and how he got into this. I'm excited to talk about it today. Yousef, welcome to Felony Friday.
Thank you so much, John. Really excited to be here and share our story with your listeners.
Awesome, man. And thank you for coming on the show. I know you're a busy guy, and we went back and forth for a little while. I'm really happy we were able to get this interview in. I think a good place to start before we get into talking about really the founding and the motivation for Easy Expunctions, all that stuff, just so my listeners could get to know a little bit more about you, really, your past and what drives you. Just what's your backstory? Where'd you grow up? What was your experience like growing up? Just if you could share that.
Yeah, so I was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and lived in Louisiana for a little bit, and Oklahoma. And then in fourth grade, we moved to Lake Jackson, Texas, and that's where I grew up and went to high school. Both my parents were really hardworking. They had businesses at different times, but always modeled, the example of hard work, charismatic folks, and good leaders. Always taught us to, treat people right. And, encouraged us to, do what we wanted to do. And I had some siblings, have an older brother, an older sister, little brother, little sister. So right there in the middle. And, so I think growing up, we would always compete against each other, whether sports, team sports or academics. Mm-hmm. I always had a job. I would wait tables in high school and college, and had a lawn mowing business, middle school time, and had a lemonade stand, but we would sell, just about anything that our parents had in their closet in that lemonade stand. And I remember we even had a novel approach, and we would literally go knock on people's doors and ask them if they wanted, Nesquik or a PB&J sandwich, or something that we felt like we could sell. And so always really entrepreneurial.
That's really cool. So the entrepreneurial spirit was sort of almost just with you when you were born. Something that was instilled in you early. That's really cool. I'm curious. Since you ended up going down this path with Easy Expunctions, when you were growing up, did you have any interactions with people who had a criminal past or anything like that? Did you have anyone in your family or friends, or was that something you were exposed to?
Not through my parents. My parents had never been arrested or anything like that. But from a young age, I saw my parents treat people with the same level of respect, no matter what their background was or what their experience was. So I think that, told me how, I should be treating people, whether they have a record or they don't have a record. And, but also worked at, one of my uncles had a convenience store, and I would work there in the summers and stuff like that. And I would just chat it up with customers and talk to them. Some folks would share with me their experience. I remember when I was probably about 10 years old, my dad drove my brothers and I to a prison just to, show us and say, you're bad. This is where you go. And, I guess try to scare us when we were younger. But, that was, my experience, with that until, went to college and, was arrested one time when I was in college, and, the charge was dismissed. It's, relatively minor, misdemeanor offense. And, but when I went to apply for a job with banking. So I studied finances in undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
It showed up, and it was really embarrassing to have to explain the situation, despite the fact that the charges were dismissed. And that's when I learned about expunctions. That was about 2008. Learned about the value of an expunction, and generally speaking, there's every state has different laws and different effect, what an expunction means. But generally speaking, they normally share these two attributes, and one is the ability to deny that the arrest ever occurred, which I thought was important. And then two, the right to prohibit possession or distribution of that information by others. And so really powerful tool for folks who are eligible to get an expunction. I couldn't afford an attorney at the time. Called a few, and they wanted to charge me $1,500 to get it done. I learned how to do it on my own, and it took me probably a little over a month. And my first documents, weren't very pretty. Went and filed representing myself. When I was successful and walked out of the courthouse, it was such a great feeling. I felt really empowered. I had saved some money. I had received some closure on an issue that had been holding me back in some ways. And I think I had an improved self-esteem. You feel better about yourself. I thought, this would be a wonderful business to bring to others. I didn't know if I was allowed to or not. I didn't know if this was exclusively, lawyer domain. And then decided I wanted to be an attorney, and went to law school. And
did that experience, was that the inspiration for you to go to law school, or were you already thinking about it prior to that?
Yeah, I think always been pretty justice minded. Believe in fairness, and thought that want to have an impact in my life. And, so that, I think, was the motivation behind law school. This was just a business idea that I had based on my own personal experience. And I think as I started going through law school, it became more and more compelling. Something that I felt I had to do.
Yeah, I guess so had you, at that point in time, had you done research to see if it was possible to do it, to start this service before you went to law school, or was that something that it was still churning around in your brain?
It's still churning around in my brain, and this space is still relatively unclear. We've had companies like Zoom and Rocket Lawyer, sort of chart the path for self-help type legal assistance for folks online. And so, but at that time it was still really early. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to or not. I certainly started talking to more people about it. I purchased the domain name easyexpunctions.com in 2010 and didn't do anything with it. Went to law school later that year and graduated 2013 and successfully sat for the bar exam. And during that time, I been involved with some entrepreneurial ventures. My brother's an entrepreneur, and helping him with his business. And then him and I lived together when I was in law school, and I would take classes that were focused on technology, entrepreneurship, corporate planning, and just knowing that I was going to start some kind of business. And during that time, just the idea kept becoming more and more compelling, and started iterating on it, and what that would look like and how to deliver that service. At that time, I had no idea how to automate the process. I really just wanted to deliver people the documents to do it themselves, do it manually. And I thought, that if folks had the right documents, they knew where to go and what to expect, that, injustice aside, certain outcome can be expected in most instances. The law is relatively clear, and most instances either qualify or you don't. And so not a lot of facts are really argued.
So what was that what the early experience, Easy Expunctions was? Was it a site you could go to really just to get this information and learn how to do it yourself?
Well, what we do as a company is, provide individuals, with the ability to do this on their own. So we're empowering individuals. The first thing that I did actually, besides purchasing the domain name, was filing that patent, for the system, method, and process of document automation that we utilize. And so from the very beginning, this was, a software business and data-driven software business. But I think, during the time that I had the idea, it was more just about, I want to deliver this type of service. I want to empower individuals to do this on their own. I think having thought about it for so long and iterated on it for so long, it became more and more obvious how to automate the process.
So if I could just ask you about the patent filing process. So do you have a background in software development, or did you hire someone to?
Yeah, I don't. From a functional perspective.
So how difficult, like, I know you don't have to get into the details of it, but like, how difficult of a process was that to get a patent for an automated system like that?
I, filed the provisional patent and felt, comfortable enough with my knowledge and experience, as baby attorney, being able to read and research things, and sufficient to file a provisional patent, and then passed it on to a patent attorney, somebody who specializes in this, to file the full utility patent based on the provisional application. It took me about 3 months to write it out. It was over 100 pages, and I think I dedicated almost 100% of my time during that 3 months to this, adding on. And I think when I had the idea, it was just a really exciting, time.
Yeah. So you're donating 100% of your time to this, pouring everything you have into it. I'm assuming you didn't have time to take on clients and make money that way. So how did you support yourself during that time?
Yeah. So I was, really fortunate. Something that I tell folks who are interested in being entrepreneurs is cultivate a great network of people, hanging out with great people, your friends, the people you interact with, could end up being your business partners, your investors, your employees. They could be people that work with you. And I think, I've been fortunate enough to cultivate such a great network of folks that supported me. So when I was writing out the patent, I lived on the couch at my friend's house that, my brother was, renting a room out of, and he stayed there. And, my other brother gave me a debit card and said, you can charge your meals on this. And, then once I filed the patent, I went to a family friend. Had always been very encouraging and supportive, and knew me since, very young age, and, knew that I was, trafficking in business ideas and just always wanting to start a business. And so he said, when you have your first idea, you bring it to me. And that's what I did. And just took to him the patent that I filed, and within 30 minutes he'd agreed to invest in my business. And so at that point, my brother, who I was living with, gave me a 10 by 10 at his office, and took the investment money and paid myself a really modest salary. And then I hired a data architect to start building out the system. And so we were off at that point.
And how many years ago was this?
That was in 2014.
So from 2014 until today in 2019, so it's been 5 years. So what is Easy Expunctions today? What do you offer, and what are the services?
Sure. So Easy Expunctions is the only company that provides individuals with a clear path to a clear record. Folks come to our site, they create an account for no charge. We'll show them what's on their record. For $20, we'll show you what our system has determined that you're eligible for, as far as beneficial legal services, whether it's an expunction or non-disclosure of your record. And you can generate those relevant legal documents. We were founded in Austin, but 2 years ago we received economic incentives from the city of San Antonio and Bexar County to move our company to San Antonio. And at the time we had about 6 jobs. we've since grown our business today to over 27 full-time employees, and 21 of those employees are based in San Antonio.
So is it only available for citizens living in Texas, or is it other states? Or
yeah, so our ambition is to become a nationwide company. At this time, you can service customers in Texas, Washington State, Indiana, Colorado, New Jersey, Florida, and Colorado. So,
nice.
In addition to Texas, yeah.
So if somebody wanted to use your site, you said they would just go to easyexpunctions.com, type in their name, and where does it take them from there?
Somebody who creates an account, the first thing that'll happen, as long as it's in a jurisdiction that we operate in, you'll receive a background report for no charge. So it'll show you what's on your record, and then you can unlock your eligibility status for $20. To determine if there's something beneficial that you can do with that charge, and then we'll help you throughout the process. Easy Expunctions today also develops other products for attorneys, and so we work with attorneys in this space to help them automate their processes and provide a more efficient service for their customers. We've also developed unique products that attorneys don't have, which is when somebody gets an expunction or non-disclosure, they get those two main rights we talked about earlier, the right to deny and the right to prohibit others from possessing or distributing that information. We developed a tool that sends notice out to hundreds of background check companies and mugshot websites. So that way they receive notice that, an expunction was granted, and they can delete that from their databases. And so this helps individuals maximize the value of their judge-signed order. And so that's a tool that we license out to attorneys as well. Also developing platforms for nonprofit organizations. We just signed a partnership with Goodwill Industries, Goodwill Central Texas, Goodwill Houston, and
that's cool.
Working with other Goodwills to license out our technology to allow them to and their counselors to be able to not only see what's on somebody's record, but what they can do about it. And so they can help them get a better job.
Very cool. And so this next question, this might be more of a complicated, nuanced response, but I'll ask it anyway. So what are some of the hurdles that prevent you from moving into a state, or the things having to do with the law? I'm sure there's a financial restriction where there's an investment that goes in, all that stuff. But are there states that maybe there's hurdles in the way that stop this sort of automation from being rolled out?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's a number of considerations that we look at as a business before we enter into a new market. Favorability of the law in that jurisdiction, the population of folks that live there, so market size, trying to determine the ease of filing. So how easy is it for a pro se litigant to go represent themselves in that market? And then also data acquisition. So our long-term ambition is to create the most comprehensive and uniform criminal history information database in the country. And the way we accomplish that is by collecting the criminal history information and normalizing it into our uniform data model. And so, big consideration for us in order to be able to automate some of our processes requires getting that data. That's a big consideration for us as a business. And then just making sure the team's on the same page. There's a lot that goes into delivering this type of service to people. And for us as still a relatively new company, we're focused on delivering the best customer experience that we can in the markets that we operate in, and trying to determine what best practices look like in order to scale nationwide. And so, a couple staples of all of our products. And so, before we roll out a new product or enter a new market, is one, low cost. So we want to make sure that we can provide a product that is much lower than the cost that folks are used to paying. And then two, complete consumer protections. So 100% money back guarantee. we want to provide valuable products. And so for us, for example, if you create an account and you purchase the $20 report and you don't qualify for an expunction, which, approximately 50% of folks don't, just based on the state law, we'll let you know that at that point. And so it's not like we're going to charge you to get the expunction documents and, send you into court to lose. For us, if it turns out you don't qualify, we'll let you know at that point. I think that's probably the most valuable product that we have is, an ability for an individual for very low cost to be able to understand where they are, where they stand today, what's on my record, what can I do about it, whether you want to go with us or you want to go with an attorney or you don't want to do anything at all. It's important to have that information because we think that if folks know that they're eligible, choosing not to get it done is essentially choosing to have a criminal record. And I don't know if anybody who would make that choice knowing, the damning effects of having a criminal record.
Right. I think that automation and artificial intelligence, these types of things I think they get misinterpreted and people get scared when they're thrown around. But with what you're talking about here, the cost savings, the access to information, really, I think it makes the information more equal, more easily attainable, and people can make more informed decisions. So I'm curious to get your opinion on really just the future of law, the future of the way people find legal representation. I don't know if maybe we will someday live in a society where there are no lawyers and it's all AI. I don't know, but
don't hold your breath.
Things are. But do you think that are we moving in a direction where there will be more services like this, where it'll be more affordable maybe to get, to use a platform to do background checks and things of this nature?
Certainly. There are a lot of trends that we're seeing today that suggest that we're really just at the beginning of a lot of legal technology. Historically, lawyers and law firms have been seemingly either agnostic or allergic to technology. And I think today you're starting to find more folks understand the opportunity that is available in providing technology solutions for lawyers and law firms, but also in a lot of ways democratizing access to our legal system and our justice system by developing tools and processes that allow individuals, non-lawyers, pro se litigants, to also be able to interact positively with the justice system, in the event that they don't want representation. So I do think attorneys will always be around. I do think that, historically they've been able to benefit from the fact that there's not a lot of information out there. And if you want to learn this stuff, you pretty much got to go to a law school or a law library. And, today we're starting to see the digitization of a lot of this information, the proliferation of this data, and, an ability for somebody to go read a book and learn, the same information that a lawyer would have utilized. And so I do think it's important that, technology, and that we continue to see this trend of, more and more technology being introduced into the legal system, because I do think it will benefit efficiency overall. I do think that lawyers, shouldn't be, hesitant to embrace technology. In fact, if they want to be successful, I think it's important to incorporate it because your customers, your clients, in that situation will want you to be using the best technology and to be able to provide them with some cost savings, but also courts, also government agencies. I think a lot of these systems are very archaic. There's a lot of tools that you could develop that could make courts a lot more efficient. But I do think that we're starting to see more and more this idea that we need some solutions for folks that can't hire an attorney. And I'll tell you, 90% of Americans are priced out from hiring an attorney.
Wow.
So it's the bottom 5%, will qualify for legal aid, and everybody else is not poor enough to qualify for legal aid. And then the top 5% will be able to afford an attorney, but that middle 90% historically has been left out. And it's a stretch for folks who reside in that area to be able to access the justice system or the legal system or attorneys. And so, I'm excited. I think that technology is going to help everybody who touches this space. But I think certainly maybe the biggest beneficiary might be the average consumer who desperately needs justice, but maybe doesn't have the finances to be able to access it sometimes.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I see the evidence when I interview people who come on this show and they talk about, no matter really what crime they committed, the one consistent thing is that they didn't know, really how bad it was, what the circumstances were, what the ultimate sentence, the ultimate time they could be serving up front, and they go with all they have is a public defender, and you're basically just put your hands up at that. Nothing against public defenders. I mean, I know a lot who work hard and are doing their best, but they don't have the resources. And I agree with you. If we can somehow use technology to bridge that gap and to get people more accessibility to legal defense at a cheaper price, all things aside, even if you change nothing else in the justice system, that one thing is going to help. But
certainly, and I think that there will be other areas that we can utilize our technology to provide added efficiency and convenience for folks, whether that's attorneys, government entities, or individual consumers. And I think it starts with information, the quality information, and being able to take action with that information. One of the most unfortunate situations that we see sometimes is when an individual pleads guilty because they said, you know what, I just wanted to get it over with and serve my time, and they thought that they were doing something that was expediting their ability to overcome this situation, this issue. And in reality, many jurisdictions don't allow for expunction of convictions. And, so somebody who, thought that they were taking the fast track to, justice and resolving this and paying their debt to society, actually took the route that will ensure that this is something that continues to bother them for the rest of their lives. And so that's just, I think if the saddest thing is when they say, I had no idea that this was going to stay on my record, or that, otherwise I wouldn't have pled guilty or taken that deal. And so, I think just letting people know, giving people information they can take action on to stuff like this.
Absolutely. If you could give just the website one more time and any parting words.
Yeah, so it's easyexpunctions.com, easyexpunctions.com. And, thank you so much for having us on the show today and being able to share some of our story. If anybody's interested in partnering with Easy Expunctions or, being a customer, totally encourage you to come to our site or reach out to me. My email is just my first name, Yousef, Yousef, at easyexpunctions.com. And thanks again for having me on the show, John. And I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for coming on the show.
Are you tired of banging your head against the proverbial wall of politics and getting nowhere toward actually making your life more free? Are you tired of interview podcasts that have the same guests as every other libertarian interview podcast out there? Are you tired of hearing the same news stories that you can hear on the mainstream media? Then you need to listen to The Lava Flow, where we don't do politics and we don't do the major stories that exist only to divide you. We talk about news that affects you and your freedom, and we work to find solutions that can actually help you to be more free. Check us out at thelavaflow.com.
Listen to Weird Libertarians at WeirdLibertarians.com. My name is Chris Spangle, and I host a show where we talk about the stories you and your friends are talking about, and then we give you libertarian solutions so you sound smarter when you're talking to your friends. We're going to make you sound like a genius. Tune in now at WeirdLibertarians.com.
Are those dry, boring, run-of-the-mill political talk shows putting you to sleep on your commute or at work? Are you ready for some fun?
Look no further. Blast Off with Johnny Rocket is a Seattle-based podcast expressing viewpoints of free markets, voluntary exchange, badass music, wicked banner, and of course, drinking.
The Blast Off doesn't shy from the truth, but always brings the party.
Let's rock and roll, Raylene.
Bring it on, Johnny.
You can check us out at thelaunchpadmedia.com/blastoff.
Again, that's thelaunchpadmedia.com/blastoff.
Launchpad Media. Always launching ideas in your direction.
And now I'm crying over you.
I want to thank my guest, Yousef Kassim, for coming on the show today. Really, today's episode, I've been trying to get Yousef on the show for a while just because I was so impressed with this project, with this startup, Easy Expunctions, and really the impact that it can have. And really, he exceeded my expectations and I was so happy to see that really the way that I had thought about this venture, the way that I sort of see the future of automation and AI in the criminal justice and the legal sector aligned exactly, I think, with the way that he sees it, which is very exciting. So someone who's an entrepreneur in the industry is really trying to change the system from the outside. It doesn't get more libertarian than that. And I think it's really important to point out, because I'm actually going to be debating. I forget when the debate's scheduled for, so I don't know when it's going to air. It'll be sometime within the next month, I would hope. But myself and Remzo Martinez are going to be debating on the topic of the Universal Basic Income, the UBI. I will be taking the stance of being against the UBI, and Remzo will be defending UBI. I'm pretty sure that our own Mark Claire is going to moderate the debate, but it will be broadcast on Remzo's feed. But anyway, just to, I don't want to go full in and give away everything that I'll be talking about during that debate, but this is one shining example. Just looking at the impact that artificial intelligence and really just at this point automation and using technology to gather information to really scale. In the past, when it might take 5 or 10 lawyers to dig into cases, now you can sort through those cases more quickly and find the information you need in order to, build a defense in order to win. So when you take that onto a larger scale and you start to think about, what if we're able to use AI to level the playing field, to make it so individuals who don't have as much money and they get tied up in the criminal justice system when in the past they were screwed over and they were stuck with a public defender. Nothing against public defenders. As I said during the show, I have some good friends that are public defenders, great people, they're working hard. But on the mass scale, public defenders obviously are underfunded, and in an ideal libertarian society, you wouldn't have public defenders. You would just have defenders. And I think ventures like Easy Expunctions and more software and automation that'll come along in the same vein is going to make it much, much easier for those who don't have the money for this elaborate legal defense to get a great legal defense at a cheaper price from lawyers who are able to leverage the technology in order to build these cases and defend their clients. So that's the future. And that is a beautiful thing. That is the ideas of liberty changing the world. And it's hard for me as someone who's a libertarian, someone who believes in freedom and liberty and believes in the free market, the market always finding the best answer, the market regulating. This will be the market regulating a broken criminal justice system. So I'm not sure what Remzo's argument would be against something like this. I think he's probably not even looking at it from this perspective, how it's such a, people who are for UBI are just looking at it from the perspective of, the truck drivers are going to lose their jobs. What are we going to do? We're going to have all these truck drivers sitting around who can't make any money. They'll find work, okay? They'll find work. I mean, they can help these lawyers with their cases. the truck drivers will find work. Maybe the truck drivers will become lawyers. It'll be so easy to be a lawyer. You won't need 3 years in law school. You can just stop being a truck driver, take a little YouTube course, bam, you're a lawyer. Libertarian freedom. I love it. Anyway, if you can't tell, I love today's discussion. I'm very excited for the future of what the impact of technology can do to further the cause of liberty. Too often we get tied up in all the noise about state encroachment and infringement and everything bad that's going on. Let's talk about something good. This is something good, and I think it's worthy to shine a light on good things every once in a while. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you like this show, if you like our other shows, if you like what we're doing here, and you've been listening for a little while, please consider supporting us, because we make no money on this. We do have a Patreon page, a Patreon page. You can go to patreon.com/Lions of Liberty, and we can pick whatever level you want to support us at. There's different things that you get in return. Won't go through it here. But that is what funds us, which we don't take money out of, but it helps to fund different trips we go on to cover libertarian events. We're really excited. We're all going to make it to PorcFest again this year in June. It's going to be a freaking blast. So I would suggest anybody who's in the, I was going to say in the Northeast, but if you're in the United States, really, if you're in the world, you can make it to PorcFest. You're a libertarian, you should. It's a phenomenal event. I have no idea how many people were there last year, but I'm hearing it's going to be a lot bigger than it was last year. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we all are. We're going to have a beer pong tournament for liberty. You can't beat that. And we're going to have, I don't know. We're working with Roger Paxton on what sort of speaking roles and different. I know we're going to do a live libertarians in living rooms drinking liquor. There's other things we'd like to do, but there's only so much time. I'll only be there for 2 days. I think some of the other guys might be there a little longer. But anyway, I've been rambling for too long, so I will leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is John Odermatt signing off. Always remember to keep your head up and the fires of liberty burning.